am I? Is this heaven?
No, it isn't heaven.
Is it hell?
No, it isn't hell either. Actually, there is no hell. Although I hear Los Angeles is getting pretty close.
The concept of the afterlife in this movie is kind of an amalgam of Eastern and Western philosophies. There's no heaven or hell, but Judgement City is kind of a way station that some might think to be like a purgatory. But there's no supreme being. There's only the universe. And your goal in this universe is to get smarter. And the way to start doing that is by facing your fears.
He's facing his fear. He's facing his fear.
That's when you start to become enlightened and you no longer need to reside on Earth. You get to move onward. Onward to what? The movie doesn't necessarily say where or what that is, but that's not really the point. But it still does leave me wondering about it, like at the end of the movie, spoiler warning, when Daniel and Julia get driven off into the something in their tram that they borrowed from Universal Studios, I always wonder where they're going. What's it like? Is it anything like Earth? Rip Torn, the public defender of Daniel's life in Judgement City, said he lived on Earth at one point.
I was on Earth a long time ago. But I advanced. I moved forward. I got over my fears, and I got smarter.
So coming back to Judgement City in a different role is maybe a part of the journey of moving onward. At least for some people, right? There's the lawyers and the judges, of course, and they act pretty enlightened. But then there's the bellman, the waitress, the comedian. How do they all fit in this puzzle of moving onward and getting smarter? I mean, like this guy. There's something almost robotic about him, like he isn't a conscious being. He repeats the same spiel verbatim the next day, and that grin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Something weird is happening here. What am I saying? That some of these people are robots? Maybe. I mean, look. I'd sooner believe that this waitress here is a robot of some kind more than a conscious being, because how can doing this job of delivering omelets be moving onward? Unless, of course, she finds it that gratifying to serve people omelets.
Fast and delicious. Eat all you want.
Fear is like a giant fog. It sits on your brain and blocks everything. Real feelings, true happiness, real joy. They can't get through that fog.
Now, I haven't died yet, but I can really relate to what Rip Torn says here about fear because most of the time, I feel like a giant pussy. Daniel is almost the perfect protagonist because he has lots of common fears. For me, it's like looking into a mirror, minus the curly hair.
You make me think of my little poodle.
But everything he's experienced feels like a memory of my own or a past engram of just about every 21st century Cro-Magnon. Although Daniel did do well for himself to buy himself a BMW on his birthday, he can be just as fallible and feel just as empty as anyone else. He's like this template of quiet desperation. We fill in our own memories of getting picked on, making a bad choice, maybe when we went left instead of right. He's like a placeholder for regret, and since he experiences such common fears like public speaking, we insert our own embarrassing moments and feel the shame along with him. Unless, of course, you're one of those assholes that's got all their shit together, in which case, fuck you. Okay. Alright, I'm just joking around. I know life isn't fair, but there is some comfort in that cliche, and that the unfairness is one of life's surefire guarantees. That no matter what you do, things won't always go the way you want.
That is not a weakness. That is life.
God, I wish I looked that good bald.
I'm sorry. You really look so familiar to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm the only man in here under 100.
Now, I don't know about you, but I never noticed that Daniel and Julia are the youngest dead people in Judgement City. And I mean youngest by far. It's kind of a subtle thing, but looking around, all the other people in Judgement City are at least 70 plus. Except maybe this guy? I think maybe to remind us that there are people who are worse off.
Got shot in the head.
Really? Murder?
No, hunting accident. Some putz with bad eyesight thought I was an animal.
Daniel and Julia are middle-aged, way too young to die. Their lives are essentially incomplete. And when I've had thoughts that if I were to die, suddenly, accidentally, too young, a panicked part of me cries out, wait, it's too soon. I still have so much more I want to do. And I don't want to have that feeling, it sucks. When my time comes, I want to feel accomplished, like I didn't leave any stone unturned. Well, maybe not every stone, but, you know, the big ones.
How many days you looking at?
9?
9? 9 days? Oh my God! 9 days! 9 days! Thank you very much! 9 days!
Like sand through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. So many days, we can't possibly remember them all, so we don't. Instead, we hold on to the most intense. It's just all moments, really. Memories that stick, like how toilet paper sticks to the bottom of a shoe. This movie calls them days, but I like to call these days, or moments, choices. Because isn't that what it all comes down to anyway?
Living is making choices.
Okay, I know, that's 2 Captain Picards in one video. And like Daniel in the movie, you usually don't see these choices coming. It's either do one thing or do another. Be brave or be a coward. So you can take a chance on something risky and maybe risk disrupting that status quo. You know what I mean, right? If things are okay, why risk it by rolling the dice? You could lose everything. Or get the shit beat out of you.
You couldn't beat the shit out of me.
Or you could, do nothing and things will just stay okay. Hopefully, you can take the path of least resistance, but you know what happens immediately afterwards? Regret.
It's like a fly buzzing around your head. You reach for it, you grab it, and all you get is nothing.
Well, I have this theory that you should be with another person who's just good looking enough to turn you on. Any excess brings problems.
Now, if you apply that philosophy across the board, maybe things would be pretty okay. I mean, there's still Seinfeld and Silly Putty.
This is Buddy.
But you feel empty inside. And one of the fears that holds you back is the fear that you won't know what to do with what you could possibly get. What if it makes life more complicated? What if it makes it harder? It would be so much easier just to settle for less. You've been there. That's what Daniel goes through. Day after day. Like when he wanted a specific salary for a new job. So he practiced beforehand.
Let me make it plain. I cannot take the job for under 65 under no conditions.
But that's not how it goes down.
Daniel, I'm prepared to offer you $49,000.
I'll take it.
Sure, there's the fear of not getting the job, but I think it's also the fear of not being worthy enough for what you want. Like, Daniel must be thinking, am I good enough to be a 65 guy? Or am I just a 49 guy? I think Daniel should buy one of my t-shirts. 100% cotton, all sizes and colors. Visit adamsreallifeclothing.com. I think if you don't take chances when they come, it just eats away at you. And like Daniel, it leaves you with a pessimistic edge. Now, I'm guilty of letting that happen sometimes, but this is a movie, gosh darn it, and I don't want to wash down my regrets with a bottle of Jack. I want an ending where the music swells and the main character has to run after the girl. Okay, so that's what happens. But first, Daniel has to face fear one last time.
He's facing his fear. He's facing his fear.
And it appears in the form of Julia, the woman he's fallen in love with. But he doesn't take the chance on her because...
I'm just tired of being judged.
And aren't we all? But this is it, Daniel. You're on the precipice. It's a leap of faith. You make it across or you fall back to earth. Spoilers again, he makes it, but I think that's part of what makes this movie so brilliant. In Daniel, we see the thing holding us back all along is ourselves. It's like Daniel's mantra, his raison d'etre. But unlike him, we're still alive. We can still roll the dice. And even though I love the commentary and satire of the afterlife, like I said, that's not what it really shows me now. It shows me how I should live. So maybe when I die, it won't suck as much.